Hey guys, welcome to Wealth Unlocked, the podcast here to help you build wealth. I'm actually here with my broker, Miss Nadene Long. I'm so happy you're able to join me today.
I'm so glad that you invited me to come on.
Well, it was actually all of a sudden because you were sitting right there. And I was like, Nadene, you want to come on?
See how I am just the last thought, but that's okay.
Oh.
That is okay.
You were not the last thought. We talked about this last time when we were in your office. I was like, hey, would you like to be on the podcast? And you said yes.
Absolutely.
Opportunity arose. And so I was like, Nadene, and you said yes.
Well, thank you for allowing me to grace you with my presence.
Your kind voice.
On Wealth Unlocked.
Okay. So, anyways, what we're going to talk about today, honestly, is I would love for you guys to kind of get to know us, not just as realtors, but as people. Nadene has been in real estate, I believe, 8 years now.
8 years.
And over the 8 years, a lot of experience, a lot of situations and things.
Yes.
The biggest thing that I would say so far that I have come to be a part of is actually the brokerage. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of want people to get to know us as the brokerage, mainly you, because the brokerage is us collectively, but you leading us and everything. So just want to kind of get a little bit of background on you. So first of all, what got you into real estate?
Oh, gosh, so I'm going to give my little testimony real quick.
Okay.
I don't even know if you know this.
No, probably not.
I was actually a social worker. I
think I knew that.
I graduated with a psychology degree, minor in business. I just kind of skated through that. But I was in social services for 14 years before I even got into real estate.
Really?
And I always told my husband, because he was a primary breadwinner, he's an engineer by trade.
Yes.
Brian. Yes, Brian. That if I were to ever leave the industry because of a child death. And unfortunately, that's what I was met with. I was met with a child death while working in social services. Wow. And I told him this, like, when I graduated college, that's what my fate, like, I would transition to another field if that were to ever happen. Well, that time came back in 2015. Mm-hmm. That time came, and it was like a God movement. Like, the child death happened on a weekend. By the end of the week, I pretty much completed the case, worked with law enforcement, and then I remember sitting on my couch and like, okay, babe, this is the time. What do I do? Really? And I started looking for real estate. I knew I was going into real estate. I just didn't know how.
How did you come, like, real estate was the next thing, though?
You know, all of the homes that my parents have purchased, they've all been new construction, and my mom always walked me. I was always with her throughout the process. Okay. So right before we even moved here, from Birmingham, I took classes to get my real estate license in Birmingham, Alabama. Okay. My husband got a job, and I didn't even get to sit for my test. So we started here. So I lived here 4 years without even thinking about real estate until that happened. So once that did happen, like I said, that week went by, I finished the case, and then I put in applications for, like, sales consultants because I wanted to just get my foot wet in real estate. Okay. I got called. That was a Saturday. On a Monday, that next Monday, I got called from Wealth Partners. I'm not Wealth Partners. Net Worth Realty Group.
Oh, okay.
Realty, whatever. Wholesale brokerage here in San Antonio. Okay. They interviewed me. I was the very first female Black woman hired.
Really?
Yes. And
what year was this?
This was in 2015.
Oh, okay.
They needed a change of the culture because it was male dominated. If you know anything about wholesaling, it's male dominated. It's just boots on the ground. You know, you don't wear makeup. You know, you wear sneakers and polos every single day. And so I had the opportunity to take like a mental health leave. Okay. Because I took on this huge feat with the child death, and they gave me a month off. Okay. So in that month, Net Worth said, if you can get your license within a month, we'll pay for it.
Really?
I took the classes and everything within 3 weeks. I sold my first home before my license even came in.
What? I didn't know that.
And that was in 2015.
So you got your license in like 3 weeks?
I took all of the courses in 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. Loophole.
Finished all the classes. But they allowed me to start and do training, so I sold my first house before my license came in.
So when you say sold your first house, was it like a wholesale deal?
It was a wholesale deal.
So
I found
you didn't really
need
your license,
I didn't.
You? Okay.
But in order to get paid, though, I had to have my license.
Okay, so
they were a wholesale brokerage, so they were all licensed. We were all licensed.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought everybody, usually because when you see things online, everybody's like, oh, wholesaling, you don't need a license to do it. And so I didn't know if they required it.
They did. Okay. They did require it.
All right. And so your first deal was a wholesale deal.
First deal
was a wholesale deal. And that was in 2008?
2015.
15, sorry. Okay. So after that happened, after net worth, what was the next step in real
Well,
estate?
net worth and I had some difference of opinions
Okay.
of how where my business would go.
Okay.
And so I was there for about 8 months.
Okay.
After the 8
Almost
months,
a year.
I left, and my husband and I started doing it on our own. We started
Like wholesaling?
wholesaling on our own. We figured it out. We had our buyers, we had our sellers. We were finding off-market properties, and from there, I had other my previous buyers start calling me and asking me like, "Well, Nadine, now that you're solo, do you mind helping us sell our property? You helped us find our investment. You kind of picked all the finishes. Can you sell it for me now?"
As a realtor.
As a realtor. And so then I started using my real estate license in different various capacities. Now I'm starting to list properties for my investors. Now with listing property for my investors and doing open houses, I'm gaining buyers. And that's kind of how I took off from there. Started with my investors, grew from there, and started doing listings and working with buyers.
I think that's the biggest advantage of, like, a lot of people are like, oh, you don't need a license, but I feel like you can just do more when you have a license. Like,
Absolutely. Now I can do consulting. I mean, there's so much that opens up that allows me to.
and honestly, not that it's not hard, because I'm dyslexic. It took me like 4 chances to pass my national estate exam, and I've had some people say like I had 7 chances. I don't know how truthful this is, but I think it's like a 50% fail rate on taking the exam,
really?
something high.
Yeah.
Because honestly, when you take the actual classes, like at the schools, they don't teach you everything. They actually cram everything in a very short amount of time.
Correct.
And then you take I remember taking my national state exam, and a lot of the stuff that they were asking me was not what I learned, and I had to like redo more studying by myself to
you
even
have
pass
to take
it.
the test based off of how the answer or the question is presented.
Yes.
That's
okay.
it. They
that
just
makes sense.
and the thing is, honestly, I like that because it really challenges the new person's ability to understand
Okay.
and to comprehend.
Okay.
So if you can read it, and that's how contracts look. I mean, you can read a contract, but if you don't comprehend what it's saying, you could really mess somebody up.
Yes.
And so I think that it's purposeful in that way, how they ask. I didn't like it at first, but now being on the other side, being a broker and understanding compliance and
yes,
the
because you can
need
get in
for-
trouble now.
all the time.
Yeah. So I think that's a big thing for you, is that
Yeah.
being the broker, you're the responsible party to
Yeah.
your agents, and that's a big thing. So a lot of new agents coming out thinks, hey, like if I pass the test, I'm good to go. But there's laws and things changing all the time that we have to keep up with.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if you make a mistake, it's not just that's gonna get in trouble. Your broker's gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
So I think that's one real big reason. So we're very kind of selective on who we pick to become onto the brokerage and
Yes.
the values that they have.
Competency is key.
Okay.
I would like to use that word, competent.
Well, I'm happy you picked me, 'cause that means I have some competency.
You have some competence. And
So-
I see all of the potential.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just joking.
She hates me, guys. Anyways, but that being said, okay, so now you're listing, you got in refer, and mainly what we're talking about here is because I would like people to understand because building wealth is finding different options
Yes.
to build wealth. You started
Yes.
in one area of life,
Yes.
and then another one opened up, and of course, when the different opportunities opened up, different sources of income opened up too.
Correct.
And I think that's one of the biggest, because in my background, my family, we grew up very poor.
Yeah.
It's first to eat. First, if you don't eat,
Yeah.
you ain't getting nothing. Me and
Yeah,
my brother
yeah.
fighting all the time. Till this day, my wife still tells me, like, you eat too fast.
Slow down. It's not going anywhere.
My brain doesn't understand
Yeah.
that. And so I've learned over the years, like, my dad was a landscaper in trade. My mom still to this day is in the daycare, and those are the only incomes they have.
Yeah.
And so I was never taught about extra income. Like I was telling RJ upstairs, I was never taught about extra income or, reaching for the
Passive
sky.
income, all
Yes,
those kind of things.
passive
Yeah.
income, credit,
Yeah.
loans being good or bad, good or bad debt. I was never taught these things. I had to learn
Yeah.
through different people and myself over time. And so I think a biggest thing with people watching is that I want to encourage them that you don't have to be not satisfied, but complacent in where you're at in life.
Correct.
Because I think the biggest comment I get in my social media when I talk about houses and buying is like, who can afford this? Who has the money for the down payment? It's all available to each and every one of us,
Right.
depending on our situation. But we can change our environment, our situations to become better.
Correct. I 100% agree with you. And I think that kind of ties back into, even how I started. I did not have any knowledge about real estate.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that once you kind of get into it, there are several different options. You just have to learn them. And I think one thing that sets, I would even say, our brokerage apart is that we are resourceful in a sense that right now, we know that the market is crazy, right? Even before, I'll give you an example of during COVID, right? When there was multiple offers out there and you couldn't find you couldn't find a home for your buyer, not because they didn't want to buy or they didn't qualify, but there was just the inventory and competition. Well, I can honestly say that my knowledge about off-market and how to find off-market properties completely set me apart. I closed all of my clients during COVID. I think I had maybe 2 or 3 that I found a property on market, but the rest of them, they were all off market. What that allowed me to do was they had no competition. I was able to charge more in commission because I represented my buyer and there was no seller on the other side. And time frame was super quick. I was even able to get closing costs, whereas most buyers were having to pay over asking, pay for the difference in the appraisal value. Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
I didn't have any of those issues, and my clients were super successful. And now, in a time where now the market is kind of taking a turn, those same individuals that bought cannot sell. All my clients that bought 2 years ago, they have enough equity to where if they wanted to sell, they could.
They walk away with a lot.
They can walk away with a lot because they didn't have to go over asking. So I think building is like precept upon precept. Once you learn something, master it and learn how to now be a solution in the ever-changing market that allows you to shine.
Okay. And that makes a lot of sense. I think that's like one of the biggest things, especially in this day and age, is that opportunities will arise. And the skills you have acquired over time, because I get a lot of people that will say, like, I don't have any skills or I don't have any special abilities or things like that. I feel like the Lord puts situations and things in your way that you have to learn, whether it be good or bad struggles.
Yeah.
And you can always take something out of it.
Yeah.
To help you further where you want to go.
Exactly.
And so now that you are listing and doing things, now is how many years later that we get to the brokerage?
We just started the brokerage.
I know we just started like last year, right?
But yeah, it was something that was just kind of placed on my heart.
Did you always want to start a brokerage?
No.
So why? Okay,
you almost made me want to call. No.
So why did you never want to start a brokerage? First of all, what did you think about, like, when the idea of like starting a brokerage?
Responsibility.
Is that like the main thing?
Responsibility, and just knowing that, hey, I personally believe there's a certain way of doing things. There's decent and in order, being ethical, having integrity, being a person that's trustworthy in our industry. It's very hard to find.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a lot of people that put on great facades. You meet them and you immediately fall in love with them, but then as soon as a dollar is placed in front of them, you see a totally different side of them. Okay. I found that to be very difficult to kind of navigate when you're doing business in this capacity. There's so many ways to be deceitful, to be not trustworthy. It's
frustrating.
It's too tantalizing.
Okay.
Right? And so if you don't have a person that is truly that has integrity, that is moved by a different moral compass than the world, it is very hard to find. Okay. And with that being said, that puts the person like myself as a broker in the responsibility, it's high. It's high. And so I didn't really want that. I knew how I did business, and I did it very well for me. For my household, and we were able to grow our portfolio doing this. We were able to flip homes. We were truly able to grow in real estate and in business and thrive financially. And I just didn't want somebody else that didn't understand how hard we work, to come and now just completely mess it up and break it down.
So what was it that changed the situation? Because now we have a brokerage. So what changed?
Oh. Jesus. He didn't change. He changed my heart. I would say that. What I did not find when I was growing as an agent, I didn't find anybody that would really want to help me. Everybody was competitive. So where I was looking for somebody to teach me about truly how to grow my portfolio and maintain it, I was met with a lot of, well, if I show her. And so I that frustrated me. So what happened was, over the 8 years, I had to take the stairs. I call it taking the stairs in my growth. I'm cool with that. The Lord walked me through, and then, he gave me water when I got tired and stuff when I was taking the stairs. But it was just one day I was just just praying about my business, and God said, I want you to help somebody take the elevator now. So that meant to me that, hey, Nadine, we walked the stairs. I showed you the pitfalls. I want you to take somebody else now, and they shouldn't have to go through all the pitfalls that you went through. Let them take the stairs. Let them take the elevator. And so I was like, okay, Lord, well, that means that I'm riding too then, because I'm tired. So let's ride together. And so that was the thing that was working on me was, I just wanted to be I wanted to be that for somebody else.
Well, I think that's actually like the perfect way to say it, because I do feel that way, because I think you're my 4th broker now over my 5 years. You're always available, you're always knowledgeable, and you're always willing to let me know things. I think you've taught me over this time, because like you said, in this business, and mostly any business, honestly, is whenever you're good at something, it's really hard to share that with somebody else, because then you're just helping, in theory, your competition. And I forget a lot of times as Christians, we're called to help other people in the ways we can. And if I know a certain skill and certain things, I should be willing to help them and not be greedy and holding on. And I think we talked about that before. Is because I grew up, like I said, it's my childhood.
It's almost like a poverty mindset where you just have to hold on to everything. And it's funny because the more you hold on, the more you lose, actually. The more you lose,
learned that.
Right.
And yet still sometimes I do that.
It's habit. It's a place of comfort. It's a place where you feel safe. I have this and this is what I have. But I'm telling you, I feel like really what God gives me is not just for me.
Okay.
It's really for whomever he desires.
Okay.
Whomever he desires. And that's hard for me too, because sometimes I don't want to give up the sauce for everything.
That's why I brought up the apartment things. I was like, hey, I don't know if your agents know, but there's this. And I was just like, all right, cool.
Great though. Yeah. And then honestly,
baby steps.
Whoever accepts it, whoever receives it, they'll be blessed by it. But if they don't, that's on and that's what I'm learning too about being a broker. Is that I can be that for everybody, but it's also up to them to take whatever it is that I pour out and run with it.
It's just frustrating sometimes because like you can reciprocate that, but you don't get it back. And I think that's
when you got to pray now. That's what I got to pray every day, Lord.
And for me,
sustain me.
Because I feel like it's not fair. And I'm just like.
Life ain't fair.
Exactly. But again, being that we're a faith-based company and that we're Christians ourselves, I'm not sharing my information or whatever I'm sharing to them for them.
Right.
I am, but at the same time too, I'm doing it because I have a Heavenly Father that's gonna reward me for my selflessness.
Correct.
In time.
And the goal is to advance the kingdom. Now, I know we turn this all the way over, but the goal for us, Wealth Partners, is to advance the kingdom one house at a time. Okay.
And I know this.
You do.
Yes,
you better.
I know.
You part of Wealth Partners.
I know this. So, so let's push on that because that's actually super important to me and super important to you. Is that whenever we do things like this or we talk to people or new agents, I know you have a meeting with an agent. Is one of the first and foremost things that we talk about is that we are a faith-based company. Correct. What and you as the owner and broker, what is that in your mind? What is that? If I was a new agent and you're trying to explain this to me, what does that mean?
Yeah. So being faith-based is really I stand on my faith, meaning I'm moved. I make decisions based off of my faith and how that impacts the kingdom of God, not any other deity or any God, Jesus, the words that are spoken in the Bible. I place my life and the things that I believe on that. So when the word talks about generational wealth, because it does talk about that, when it talks about loving your brother, loving Jesus with all of your heart, following him, those are the things that we do. So in my conversations with my clients, if I have to stop and pray, I'm going to stop and pray.
Yeah, you were just doing, I kid you not, guys, but she's like, I need to pray right now before we start this podcast. And I kid you not, I'm looking over here to this TV and it says Latin Talks. And in my head, I'm like, why does it say that? So I say it out loud. I go, why does it say Latin Talks? And she's like,
had the nerve to stop my prayer.
I didn't stop your prayer. You stopped your prayer.
Because I was talking to Jesus. Jesus is important. And you talked over Jesus.
How am I going to talk over the Lord of Lords and King of Kings?
Because he speaks very quietly. You know Holy Spirit?
Oh,
okay, see, we're going to take this another way. Let's bring it back.
It's okay.
But no, when we... And then also just partnering with other faith-based people as well. Like, for instance, just recently, I have a brand new couple. Oh my God, it just brings me so much joy. They're doing their first new construction. Now, I helped her sister purchase a home. And by the way, let's give a shout out to Rev, because they helped my first client get her first home. We sold it. She made a lot of money. And now her little sister is buying a brand new home.
Really?
So excited for her. She's under construction. It's a brand new construction. And she never thought that she could purchase a home.
A lot of people think that too.
Ever. And I've been working with her for over a year and a half. And we finally got it. She started to build. And I said, you know what? I haven't had an opportunity to do this in a long time. You're doing this from the ground up. We got to go get a Bible, and we got to place the Word of God at the foundation of this home. Oh my God. She just jumped up and she was excited. We ran out there. I had a couple extra Bibles, and we had it right at the right time too.
Right when you're building?
Yeah, because they hadn't poured the foundation, the concrete yet. And so we placed it right there in the center of the home. And for her husband to be, this is the first time I met her husband. Her husband's a very young man too. And so for him to now just see what was going on, and me to give that reminder that, hey, sir, this house is built on a solid foundation. So now it's your responsibility to lead this household now. Because God gave you this. This is a blessing that God gave you. He opened up a door. Now you have to be responsible and lead your family. Those are the types of things. We're advancing the kingdom. It's not just us helping somebody buy a home, but it's also helping them understand their purpose too, their why, and walk in that calling.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've been seeing TikToks, and then like they'll pour the concrete, but people have been doing their driveways, and they'll carve like out of the driveway and put the Bible there and put the cement. So is that kind of what y'all did with the foundation?
Yep. Put the Bible right in the middle, and then the foundation is poured now.
And it's there forever.
It's there forever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's honestly what kind of brought us over to you. Not just the knowledge that you have, and
now wait a minute. I am not perfect, so let me say that I'm not perfect now.
You don't have to tell me twice.
I am not perfect. I'm not perfect, but he does fuel me. And the thing is that because I say it now, I've got people that are holding me accountable. I can't just.
Well, I think that's the thing for me with you, is that I get transparency.
Yeah.
And because
probably too much sometimes too, huh?
No, it's okay.
Amen.
Because but it's okay, because like there's like I think I told you earlier, like there's people in life that, again, have a facade, have a sense of ego and pride, which they have to put off because they have to be seen a certain way.
Correct.
And honestly, I was like that for a long time. Still do that sometimes to this day, because, again, growing up poor, you see life different ways and how you would want to be looked at.
Right.
And I don't want to go backwards.
Right.
And so whenever somebody I talk to that was a broker or something, and I'm like, so asking them certain questions, I don't get the same answers from you that I do for them.
Yeah.
I get answers that I feel like are more realistic and more transparent and more like, hey, this is doable because of these certain things that we're going to do.
Right.
And the main thing is what we just talked about, is the being Christ-like, faith-based, because I think a lot of businesses can thrive without Christ, because we're in this world that is not in Christ.
And there are a lot.
And the thing is, I rather thrive with him than without him. And in whatever way he sees fit. Yeah. And so having people like that around me was a big issue. Of not having people like that around me was a big issue, because it made it harder for me to do it. But at the same time, too, it gave me opportunities to be that person. Yeah. And I remember being at a car dealership one time, and I was just trying to be the nicest guy. It was back when I was being a youth pastor in Corpus. And there was a gentleman, I can remember to this day, he hated me. I never did anything wrong to him. I was brand new in the business, and it was just a hatred, and I could feel it. Yeah. He wanted to fight me, and I was just like, dude, I'm like the nicest guy to you. Like, and it's just because his life was not reflective in what mine reflected. Yeah. And he felt that,
there's an agitation of the spirit. Oh, don't agitate the spirit now.
Being here with you, it actually is giving me more peace.
Oh,
and I can do more for my customers and my clients than I could before, because now I've removed that portion of my work out of my business. Yeah. Because before it was like I'm still doing my job, but I have this agitation in my life of like this around me. And not to say I can't be around people, because we need to be so we can show ourselves, but having because like work 9 to 5. I was just telling RJ, being somewhere 9 to 5 and just having people yell at you and just I don't know what gives people the entitlement of just like being able to talk to people a certain way without being respectful.
Yeah.
I don't get that here. So I'm at peace here. So that's what I like about the brokerage.
Well, awesome. I'm glad you feel that way. And I feel, to be honest with you, it's one of those things where you mentioned to be, a lot of times in this industry, you want to be seen. Yes, my desire is not that I be seen, but that the God in me be seen. So that means my actions have to reflect that. Like, I have to watch what I say constantly. That's what I was telling you. I was like, Lord, because Nadene, the person, I will just fire off. I have a lot to say. But if I want the God in me to be seen, then that means I've got to watch what comes out my mouth. I have to watch how I respond to people. Even, in this industry where you deal with a lot of unprofessional realtors or loan officers or appraisers, or there's so many people in our industry that are just transactional. They're not relational. And I can't tell you how many times that transactions have worked out better because they're like, man, you are so nice. Or, wow, Nadene, I didn't, thank you so much for taking my call, because now we're in the day where people don't want to answer phone calls.
It's hilarious that people don't answer phones.
But then it's like I get praised for answering a call, and I'm like, man, is it this easy to look great? I'm going to answer every single call, So I think it's, again, we've got to be set apart, and we have to, people that do come to Wealth Partners, there is an expectation that you will be set apart. I'm not asking you to be perfect, because I'm not. But understand that you will be held to a higher level of expectation because of who we serve. We don't just serve our families. We serve God first and foremost. And
so saying that, so we can kind of not end it, but I think that might be what I think we talked about, the most difficult thing is because we have standards. But the thing is, what happens if agents are not meeting those standards? Because we have opportunities and connections. Fire them. You're not gonna let me go like that, are you?
I would. I'm joking.
But it's because, like, at the same time too, like, I think one of your biggest things that you told to me that made me click is like, you can't care more about my business than I care about my business.
Correct.
But the thing is, at the same time too, you need to lead. But at what point of leading do you let me go? Do I, need a talking to? Or like, I think that's like a frustrating thing as a broker. Just anybody's thinking becoming a broker.
Honestly, I've had to, because this is a different one. I've led in different capacities in my life. But in leading in this capacity, what is different is that, like you said, I can't care more about your business. And the problem is that I actually do. I really do care a lot about your business. But I think there's a level of grace. What I'm learning from other leaders is that there's a level of grace that I have to have with whomever that is not really meeting that expectation. But then I also have to be very self-reflective and ask, okay, well, what can I do as a leader to help them? Just as being as a parent, my job is to help guide. Then there's times where I can step away and you're gonna have to fall on your own. But if I'm leading like Christ, I'm gonna be right there with you. I'm gonna pick you back up and we're gonna walk it out together. At some point, you're gonna decide, you know what, this level of accountability is not for me, and you're gonna wanna leave. Now, if it comes to an integrity issue, there's gonna have to, my husband has this saying, and this is how I know when he's done with somebody. He says, may the Lord watch between me and thee.
Oh, man.
And what that means is, hey, we've come to a point where we're not aligned anymore. But I still pray blessings over you, and I still want the best for you. Yeah. But we're going to have to part ways. That's when it gets like truly like you're making God's name look horrible. Okay. And it's hard to do that because his name's always going to be great. Yeah. But it's, it gets to that line where it's like, hey, you're not exemplifying what we would like.
I call it more like being an ambassador for Christ. Like when you go out somewhere.
That's it right there. That's it.
When you're going somewhere and you're saying you're a Christian, but you're not having those Christian values or those fruits of the Spirit being shown. Yeah. It's kind of hard to hey, I'm there for you, but you're not even there for you type of thing.
I mean, that's where that level of grace, because you never know what somebody may go through.
Yes.
So again, it's grace.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of what's hard for you, because
it is.
Sometimes, like maybe as one, let's say one of your agents, I may not tell you everything. Yeah. And I can be going through like a death or something, and maybe that's what's caused me to trip up, or financial issues. I think that's one of the biggest things in real estate is financial issues, because we close the deal here, and we don't know when the next deal is going to close sometimes, you know. And then whenever we struggle financially is when we get desperate, and then we do things we're not supposed to be doing.
Why the relationship, and that's why I really want to be a part in that relationship, is that you trust me enough to come and talk to me about the things that are hindering you and bothering you. And as a leader, my job then is to really help you work here. And even if you can't, then, you know, I've got to be sensitive enough to the Spirit to where the Spirit's now telling me.
Do you pray for us?
I do. I think you do. I do. I really do. I really want you to thrive. Again, my biggest goal is, I know what God did for me, little old me, that didn't know anything about real estate. And I saw what he did with my life, my business, my finances, my relationships. And I really believe that that can happen for somebody else.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I feel like going at that route really might show people that there is something better for them. And I think the main point that I wanted to really drive home, not just talking about the brokerage, is that there are opportunities given to us in this world. As much as we may, you know, I'm a big person when it comes to like government and what they do. At the end of the day, I always tell my wife, I'm like, at the end of the day, it's me and you. My family comes first. My relationship with God comes first. The people around me that I love. And if I can help other people, I will. But the thing is, do they want the help?
Correct.
And because I've stepped out sometimes to try to help some people, and they just refuse it, or they don't follow by it, and then they have the complaints of why my life is the way it is.
So then what you say is what Brian would say.
Oh, I can't remember.
Lord,
okay,
watch between me and thee.
Okay.
And then you leave it at that. Let God handle it.
Well, then, if that being said, I would like to end it with that, because that's actually really good, because I think a lot of us struggle with that, is like, especially with like family, is that where you try to like help one another, but somebody doesn't want the help, or they think they know better or something like that. I'm trying to be there for my family and trying to make things better than what I had in my life. Especially, I don't have kids yet, but I think that's one of the biggest reasons I don't have kids, because I feel like I'm not ready. Like, I'm like, because like some people.
Well, then you ain't never gonna have kids.
That's the thing, man. I'm getting old too. 34.
And the way you popping and cracking like that,
boy,
it's gonna be hard for you to pick up them kids.
That was because of the clubbing days. My knees be popping. So, but anyways, I think that was really good. And like I said, I hope the biggest draw away from this is that you understand that when we talk about Wealth Unlock, it's not just real estate. It's overall the situation you're in, whether it be, let's say you do have a 9-to-5, and that's the way you work. I can't work that way anymore. But if you do have a 9-to-5, what's your next step? Like, if you're a door greeter, awesome, God bless you. But is that where you want to stay? If it is, great. But if you want to move forward, where's the next step that you see God taking you? And I feel like a lot of people get complacent in where they're at. And I just want to encourage them that there are so many opportunities. And as much as people say like America's like crooked and this, I get that. But there's still opportunities out there. Because at the end of the day, if you just have a car, you're top 1% of wealth in the country, in the world. Some people don't even have cars. You know, some people don't have a house. If you are paying a mortgage and you're complaining about paying a mortgage, God bless you, because you should be happy you even have a mortgage. Some people are paying rent. Some people are still living with parents because they can't afford to move out. Like, there's other issues, and I think the big other thing too is whenever you take. So somebody said this once. Whenever you feel gratitude. It actually is in your mind and your brain. The same thing that feels gratitude is also the same thing that can complain, and you can't do both. You have to pick one or the other. So if you consistently show gratitude, you would never complain. Your mind won't let you do both. Have you ever tried to do gratitude and complain at the same time? You can't.
No, it's really difficult now. I think about it.
So whenever you want to complain, say something gratitude. And
it's a mindset.
It's a mindset. So, but I really appreciate you coming. I know it's really spot on, and I just plucked you out of the room.
Well, hey, I want the takeaway to be honest with you, is that whatever brokerage you decide to go with, or if you're just learning about brokerages, our goal is to really help you build wealth. It can be right where you are. I don't care if you've never even thought about purchasing a home. We want to help you develop a plan for generational wealth. Just a plan. That's it.
And I think the cool thing, because I asked Nadene too, I was like, hey, can you help me flip a house? And her instant was like, yeah. And I was like, how much do I need? And she gave me an amount. Okay, great. You have the connections and stuff to help us. So I think that's the best thing, is that we don't have to do all, because I think the biggest thing is like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So if you have somebody to walk you through it, why would you not take that
Why
elevator?
would you? Why? Yeah. And that's, I want people to. I took the stairs for a reason. God made me take the stairs so you could take the elevator.
Did you fall down the stairs a couple times?
Man, so many.
Have to go back up?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, I appreciate you being here. Guys, again, 2 things. If you guys need a realtor in San Antonio, Texas, Nadine, I, and all of our team is here to help you guys. We do apartments, we do home rentals, we do flips, land, everything under the sun. If you feel like you're not ready to buy a home, but you want to get there, I actually am partnered with a lady. Her name's Adma. She does free credit repair and financial services, coaching.
Oh, wow.
And so she's able to do this through government funding, and she'll one-on-one sit down with you, go over your credit, what you need to do, the letters you need to send out, as well as your financial coaching to figure out what's the next step for you, how you can cut back on expenses. And I think knowledge is automatically the first thing that you need overall to be able to get you where you want to be in the future. If you don't have a plan, you ain't getting nowhere.
Nowhere.
So make sure to reach out to us so we can be just a resource for you guys overall. And other than that, guys, we'll talk to you later. Thank you, Nadine.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye, guys.